All right, everybody. Told you I had another one of these coming, and I was going to do a follow-up, well, a second review when this one came in. This one was, I'll give you, while you read the label here, if you can read that. Let's see, how much did I pay for that one? This is the, again, I don't make up the names here, Eafengrow EF221 Tactical. It has the word tactical in the names, folks, so you know it's good. It's like Panther by Odeon. It's got bits of real panther in it, so you know it's good. Someone will get the reference. Anyway, that was a pretty easy reference. So let's see, as I'm on the other screen here, let's see, what did I pay for this one? I paid the princely sum of $26.99 as opposed to yesterday's sort of SOCOM, which turns out was $29. I kept saying $25 or $26. It was actually $29. So I apologize for that price discrepancy. I'd ordered two of these, and so I knew one was $25. I thought they both were. Either way, hella value for the money. You can go watch the video on this bad boy. Again, not claiming it's a SOCOM by Microtech. It's not in that class of knife. Obviously, the design heavily influenced by it, but god damn is this thing built like a freaking tank. So let's see. We have a very plain box, which I don't care. I'm not a box snob. I don't worry about the packaging and all that crap. I don't buy it for the box it comes in. It's nice when it comes in a nice carry pouch, but if that's how they help keep the cost down, whatever. All right. So this one is a bit of a different style, but it is a beefy knife already. Weight-wise, yikes, how much does that thing weigh? What are the specs on this thing? 6.4 ounces. This, Jesus, look at that knife blade. All right, well, if you're looking for a real slim, lightweight, discreet EDC that you won't even know in your pocket, just fast forward to the end and switch to something else, because that ain't this. So, ooh, I like that blade shape, though. I think I'm going to like this one more than the other one. This one is cool just because it's kind of a SOCOM design, but it's pretty damn big. Huh. All right, we're going to get into this. So, this is the EF221 Tactical. Let's see. It has a pocket clip. I don't believe that would be reversible because that would be facing at the wrong end, or the wrong way. And it didn't come with an alternate one. So it looks like it's right hand, tip up, carry only. Ooh, that's some good tension on that. Might even be too much. I might need to take some of that out. We'll see. What I do like is that it's doesn't stick, no hot spot, so that's nice. This is, let's close this so I don't stab myself on video. So this is basically the same size. This is about a 4-inch blade. It is insanely thick blade stock, although it's more of a stonewash matte finish as opposed to this one, which kind of has a two-tone. And that's got some stuff, taken out with a CNC machine. Yeah, some cool kind of design on it. But it looks to be about the same blade stock. Does it say what it is? 4.05 inch blade, 9 inch overall. The blade thickness, it doesn't say, but was that a 1/4 inch almost? That is a thick ass blade. It doesn't need to be that thick, I'll be honest, unless you just want a knife that's built like a tank, and this is. But let's get into this one. So this is G10 scales. Pretty nice, so we can get the texture on there. A little grippier than this. This one looks like it has lots of texture, but it's actually very kind of not slick, but it's definitely smooth. This feels more like your G10. It's not abrasive. There's like little micro grooves in there, but it gives you a nice tactile feel. This is going to be ball bearing pivots as well. And it's using a type of axis lock now that the patent on that from Benchmade has run out. That's pretty much gone away. So looks like you can just open that. I mean, we could probably adjust that. Yeah, I could tell that's definitely bearings. I mean, when you see a knife out of the box, brand new, not even broken in, just kind of working like that. But once it's open, there is zero blade play. I mean, nothing. The only way to get that is with bearings. If you had washers in there, it would, in order to be that loosey-goosey, you'd have to have a little bit of rocking side to side. I feel nothing in any direction. There is like almost no flex. Jesus Christ, this is a brawny knife. Really nice blade shape, like wicked point. But being so dang thick, it looks to be fairly well supported. I mean, that to me looks, while it is stabby and you're like, oh, I could snap the tip off. I mean, I guess you always could, but that is pretty stout. There's a good bit of material behind that tip for that type of tip. Is it that? No, it's not that. This, I feel like you could stab into a car door. This you might, but you might damage that tip. Let's grab a slice of paper, do a little slice test as I smack the shit out of the camera. Is this one going to be as sharp out of the box as that one? Yeah. Effortless. Really nice. Now, I always notice this with blades. You do a couple cuts, and then maybe I'm changing the angle, so I'm pulling it that way. That must be what I do. I alter my grip. But when you just, I mean, that's a nice, clean slice. Push test? No. The other one did a push test, which was pretty impressive out of the box. This one's not doing a push test, but it is doing really nice slices, very minimal effort. So good job on that out of the box. You know, a lot of times you get a knife and you're like, especially the cases and some of the American knives, and you're like, gonna need to run them through my little, what is this, work sharp little thing. Yeah, the work sharp, just to kind of straighten the edge, make sure it's nice and clean, take any burrs off. But honestly, I wouldn't even mess with that. Feels really good. Now, it should be a good slicer, although with blade stock that thick, not sure. There's no jimping. So here's kind of a weird design element. You got jimping on the insides. I don't know what the purpose of that is. I mean, your finger's not in. It's not even the kind of jimping. It's more of just a design element. It's more for looks, really. There's nothing here. This is just straight across the back. That's not really, that's a sharpening choil. That's not enough. If you put your finger up there, you're going to end up, I mean, you could delicately put it on that shelf there, I guess, if you wanted to, but I don't feel like that's a good finger choil. It's certainly well made. I mean, I'm just looking at the fit and finish. There's a little bit of machining going on there. I guess a flathead screw driver is how you would tighten that. You know, it's something like this. I think my only concern would be, you know, if that spring breaks, how would I replace it? You know what I mean? I can't, it's not like Benchmade where I can go or get standard springs or something. I think that would be my only real concern, but it drops free. Can you open it? This might be a knife where if you're good at the Spidey flick, it might work, because there's not, I mean, you can do that, which is how I'd probably open it, or you could just use the lock. Locks it fairly securely in place, and you can just pull that in and just give it a little flick. But it's a fairly stiff. That's actually got a stiff spring, much stiffer than that. That's smoother. Now, this may break in over time, and I also got to put maybe a little bit of oil on it. But, I mean, you look at that blade, and you're like, pff, you know, that's a nicer action, despite that one not being bearings. So, do I like it? Yeah, I mean, you got steel liners. I don't see a lot in the way of lightning. This is, if you believe it or not, it's actually heavier than the SOCOM looking one. You can tell, look how wide that is. The steel liners are thicker. Here, you have G10, and the steel liners are thin because they have to fit inside the G10 scales. So they're probably half the width of that. This has a lot of steel. Now, I would say that means this thing, I mean, geez, again, look at the size of that thing. That is a seriously hefty knife. Maybe that's why they're calling it tactical. Don't know. But it is D2 steel. It's machined really nice. The finish is nice. The edge is nice and clean. Again, it's better than half the American knives I get, until you get into the Heretics, Axials, you know, until you get into the premium brands. But as far as, like, you know, your Gerbers or Kershaws, if you can even find a US-made knife anymore. But I guess looking at my Case knives and stuff, you know, this is head and shoulders above anything I've seen from Case, at least in my collection. But really nice action. I'm going to take it apart, put a drop or two of oil in there in both the lock mechanism That'll probably polish in those edges and smooth out a little bit. I will say that these edges here are just a little, not sharp, but the spring is stiff. So you don't have a lot to grab there. These, while don't have a lot to grab either, the edges are more, there's not one hard edge. It's kind of stepped there, so it's ramped, and it's a lighter spring. So that's more pleasant if you're the kind of person that just want to sit there and flick at it. I feel like if you sit here doing that with this, that one hard edge is going to kind of push into your fingers and a little bit. It won't be as comfortable. Maybe with a little bit of oil and breaking it in, it'll smooth out. But I mean, as far as how it feels and the lockup and all that stuff, other than it being maybe more beefy than I intended, I was thinking it looked slim and sleek, almost like the CJRB, the Scalia, whatever that one's called. There's a Feldspar. It has that sort of a look to it. I didn't really look at all the specs and just realize just how fat that blade is, how fat that handle is. But if you're a guy with big hands and you want a knife that, is cheap and, offered in a decent steel and something that thick and strong, I mean, you have the strength here of a smaller, like a slightly like a thinner, like fixed blade. When you think about G10 is hard, you look at the size of the pivots, you look at how thick those steel liners and the blade and everything is. I mean, that is a knife you could probably really do some heavy duty stuff with, and it wouldn't complain. So very interesting, very interesting. I like it, but man, 6.5 ounces, that is, compared to 1.8, I could have 3 of these for the weight of this. More so, actually. Yeah, it's a brawny knife. Do I like it better than that? As far as, carrying, I'm looking at it through the lens of, an EDC. If you like big knives, then these are great. As far as the quality goes, and, obviously time's going to tell how it holds up over time, but looking at how this is constructed and the materials used, I can't imagine this is going to like fail or fall apart or anything like that. The only thing I'd be, like I said, be worried about would be if the spring broke and how would I replace it. But I mean, when you look at knives like that, as long as the steel is good and everything that I've seen about these guys and a lot of the Chinese knives using D2, they got the heat treat down. They do a good job. It's machined nicely. It's cleaned up. There's no rough edges or burrs. The edge isn't too toothy. It's on par with a lot of knives. It's on par, frankly, with the toothiness of the Benchmade. It's kind of hard to go wrong. You don't have a lot of moving parts. There's not a lot to break. I mean, it seems to be a quality piece. So before someone accuses you, you get your keyboard commandos. Oh, move to China, you queer. Yeah, just save it. It's a cool knife. It's $26. Check it out. So that is I like the EF logo. I hate the name, Eafengrow. I don't even know what that means. I need to look that up. But I got 2 of them now. And between the 2, I spent less than $60 with shipping. And they seem to be really nice, strong knives. So whether you like the name or you like China or whatever, all that aside, if you're just to judge it on its merits, it's pretty damn cool. I think that while this one's a little lighter, I think this one fits the hand a little nicer, although it is a little wide. But again, like I said, if you want a big beefy knife you can get in there and work with or something, or you're in an area where maybe you can't carry a firearm for self-defense, not that I recommend trying to defend yourself with a knife because, it's something that requires specialized training for the most part, and most of us do not have that, but if it's that or nothing, I'll take the damn knife. I think either of these knives would fit that bill. This one's thinner and lighter and sits in your pocket a little bit nicer. But if you were to use it for that type of an environment of a defensive tool, this one, I feel like your hand, this one has the jimping, and so it does lock your hand in, but it's a little thin here, so I feel like it could twist and turn to my hand. I don't feel like this is going anywhere. I feel like this is almost like gripping a motorcycle grip. Like it fills your hand enough to where your hand really kind of locks. You can grab onto it. Whereas you try to grab something really small when you have big hands, and it's easy to kind of twist in your hands unless you really cramp your hand pinching it. But when you start getting into these size knives, which is what, if you were to use it as a defensive tool, notice I don't say weapon. YouTube, I say tool. Tool is for whatever you decide to use it for. But if you were to use it as a defensive tool, these kind of fit the bill. They don't break the bank, so if you lose one, spend $26 and go buy another one. Check them out. I like it. I'll give you a link up in the description.